Hey kids, here we are with another math video. Go ahead and grab your math journals so we can take notes on compare and order decimals. Okay, so let's get started. So on your next clean page, you're going to write compare and order decimals, and then we're going to review the comparison symbols: less than, greater than, and equal to. These are our comparison symbols, and these are the first two problems that we are going to compare. So you can go ahead and pause so that you have time to write this down and then come back to the video. We are going to compare 6 and 36 hundredths to 6 and 43 hundredths. And we're going to see if 6 and 36 hundredths is less than, greater than, or equal to 6 and 43 hundredths. So the best way to compare is to line up our decimals. That's the best way to compare. So I'm going to take 6 and 43 hundredths and I'm going to put it right underneath 6 and 36 hundredths like this. So I'm just going to line these decimals up. And then I'm going to compare each place value starting with the largest place. They're both sixes in the ones place, so I keep going to the next place value. I see a 3 and a 4, so this is where I stop. I stop right here, and this is what I compare. I'm comparing 3/10 to 4/10, and I see which one of these I'm going to say larger. So the 4 is larger than the 3, so I know that this decimal is going to be larger. 6 and 43 hundredths is larger than 6 and 36 hundredths. So that means that I need to use this symbol, which is the less than symbol, which shows me that this is the larger decimal. 6 and 36 hundredths is less than 6 and 43 hundredths. Or if you remember from a previous grade when it says that you have the mouth open to the larger number or the larger decimal, you could still use that concept. That works as well. Next, we're going to look at 1 and 307 thousandths and 1 and 31 hundredths, and we are going to compare. Again, I'm going to line up the decimals. I'm going to put 1 and 31 hundredths here. That's what I'm going to do. Then I'm going to start comparing. The ones place, same, so I keep going. Tenths place is the same, so I keep going. Hundredths place, this is where I stop. So I'm going to circle these numbers in the hundredths place. I see a 0 and I see a 1. I can see that this 1 is larger than this 0. So this is going to let me know that this is the decimal that's smaller than this decimal, 1 and 31 hundredths. 1 and 307 thousandths is less than 1 and 31 hundredths. And the mistake that sometimes fifth graders make is that they look at the number of digits. They'll say, oh, this is 1, 2, 3, 4 digits. So that means that this is automatically going to be bigger. And this only has 3 digits, so this is going to be the smaller one. That is not how we compare decimals. You have to look at each decimal place, which is why it's good to line them up. It helps you see the decimals better. Okay, let's work on a few more. 7 and 304 thousandths. We're going to compare that to 7 and 34 thousandths. These decimals look similar, but they are not the same. They have the same digits of 7, 3, 0, and 4, but they are not the same. So let's line them up. I'm going to put this decimal over here, 7 and 34 thousandths. We're going to put that there, and we're going to compare. And remember, we start with the greatest place value. In this case, it's the ones place, and we keep going until they are different. Same in the ones place, different. So we stop right here in the tens place because this is where the numbers differ. I'm looking at the 3. I am looking at the 0. And I can see that this 3 is larger than the 0. So 7 and 304 thousandths is going to be greater than 7 and 34 thousandths. So my symbol will go this way. Show greater than. And we're going to do the same thing with this next one. We are going to compare 0 and 5 hundredths, or we could just say 5 hundredths, and we're going to compare that to 0 and 50 thousandths, or we could just say 50 thousandths. And if you could, let's pause for a second. You line them up and see what you come up with. Less than, greater than, or equal to. Go ahead and pause the video now and see if you can determine which symbol goes in the box. Let's see how you did. First, we need to line the decimals up. So I'm going to take this decimal and put it right underneath, and I'm going to make sure I'm lining them up correctly with my decimals right underneath each other and all the place values under each other like that. And so I'm comparing. Ones place, there are zeros, keep going. Tenths place, zeros, keep going. And now I'm in the hundreds place, fives, keep going. And 0 in the thousands place. Well, this is the last place that I can go to. And so I can see that there's nothing here. And in math, when there's nothing there, we can consider it being a 0. In this case, with decimals, I will say, we can consider this a 0. There's nothing here. And there is a physical 0 here. And this would be equivalent. So nothing and nothing is the same. So this decimal is actually equal to each other. 5 hundredths is the same thing, okay? 0.05 is the same thing as 0.050 or 50 thousandths. Those decimals are equivalent to each other, okay? If you were not able to get that, just revise. All right, let's move on. Sometimes you will have to order decimals. You either have to order them from least to greatest or greatest to least. Let's go ahead and write some decimals down, and then we're going to order them. And we're going to order them from least to greatest, these decimals. So you're going to see a set of decimals pop up on your screen. And you remember, you can pause to write all of this down. Here are our of decimals. We have 4 sets of decimals here, and I need to order them from least to greatest. So I'm just going to write like this, least to greatest. So that's what is my directions are telling me to do. So smallest to biggest, basically. And in order to do that, I am going to line these decimals up. That's a very important concept when we order decimals as well. Just like we did when we compared them up here, we need to line them up. We need to order the decimals. So I'm going to come over to the side here, and I'm going to begin lining the decimals up. And I am going to start with the first decimal. It's 4.08, like this. And I'm going to keep, then I'm going to go to 4.3, and I'm making sure that I'm lining them up. 4.803, and then 4.038. So I have all of my decimals lined up. And when we say line up the decimals, that's what we mean. Keep the decimals all in a row as you're writing these out. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to find which one is the smallest, because we need to go from least to greatest. So we're going to find the smallest decimal first. And so I compare. I look at all of my decimal places, starting with the largest place value. Ones place, all the same. Keep going. Tenths place, I need to stop here. Okay, the tenths place, we have a 0, 3, 8, and 0. Well, I am looking for smallest. So the tenths place, the 3 and the 8, I need to leave these two alone in the middle, because now I'm looking at these zeros because they are the same. Because they are the same and they're the smallest, I can't compare those decimals, so I have to keep going over one more to the hundredths place. And I'm only looking at this first decimal and the last decimal. I see an 8 in the hundredths place and a 3 in the hundredths place. And I remember I'm looking for the smallest one. So this 3 is smaller than this 8. So this will be my very first decimal. So that's the first decimal that I need to write down. I'm just going to put it here. So 4.038, that is going to be first. What I'm also going to do is cross it off, because I'm going to put number 1 here so I can see, okay, Number 1, or I'll just order them first, and I crossed it off because I already wrote it down. Next, start over. I don't need to look at this one anymore because I'm finished with it. So I need to find the next smallest decimal. Well, I know that the 4s are the same in the 1's place. Now I need to look in the 10's place. I see this 0 because I was looking at it down here with this decimal. So this is going to obviously be our next one. So this is going to be number 2. This is going to be our second decimal, okay? And so I'm going to go ahead and write that one down next. 4.08. Keep going. Now I'm going to look at the next smallest decimal. 4s are the same, the 3 and the 8. I need to stop here because this is where they differ. The 3 is smaller than the 8, so the 4.3 is going to be my third decimal that I'm going to write down. And then I already know that this is the last one. So 4.803 is my last decimal. So this is going from least to greatest. And sometimes you'll go from greatest to least. So just make sure that you're aligning them up and that you are paying attention to the order of the directions so that you don't get this mixed up. This says least to greatest. Okay? We need to do one more thing. Okay, this says name the greatest place where the digits differ. Go ahead and write that down. And remember, you can pause to write this down. And then it says write the greatest decimal number. So these are two things that we're going to be doing right now. I'm going to list two decimals, and you'll see them pop up on your screen. Here are the two decimals, 3 and 579 thousandths, 3 and 564 thousandths. In order for me to name the greatest place where the digits differ, the first thing I need to do is compare them. I'm going to line them up. I'm going to take this decimal and put it right underneath this one in order to do what the directions are asking me to do. I have to compare first. The greatest place where they are different, the digits differ. And you'll see that we've been doing that this whole time. 3, same in the 1's place. 5, same. 7, 6, not the same. So right here is when it's different. That's what it's asking you. Okay, name the place where they differ. Well, this is the place that they differ. Well, what place is that? So this is the 1s, tenths, hundredths. So the place that they differ is the hundredths place. It's asking me to write that down. I'm going to write the hundredths place. Next it says write the greatest decimal number. Well, that means that out of these numbers, which of the decimals is the greatest? Which one of these decimal numbers is the biggest? Well, I can see this is a 7, this is a 6, and this helps me compare. So the 7 is larger, so that means this first one is the greatest decimal number, and I also write that down. And so now I have successfully answered this question or followed these directions. That's all it's asking you to do. Okay, we have another set of math notes taken care of. And until next time, make sure you have everything written down. Go back and pause the video in every section that you need to make sure you have all of your notes. All right, take care, y'all. See y'all later.